Welcome back to IGN Live, coming to you from Gamescom in Germany. I'm now joined by Dave Serra. He's going to tell us all about Dawngate.
What's up, man?
Dave, welcome to the show.
Cheers.
Dawngate is your MOBA.
That's right. So we're Waystone Games. We're kind of new on the scene. We've actually been building this game for a couple years, sort of quietly in the background. We're a new studio at EA. And we're kind of students of the genre. We love what's happening in MOBA. We're all fans of everything that the guys at Riot and Valve and others are doing. We play their games, we love them. And we were like, this is cool, there's something neat happening here. And for us as a development team, it kind of reminds us of where shooters were in the 90s, where you had like Quake, Unreal Tournament, and everybody's like, new games, those are clones, you don't need any more of those. Battlefield came along, brought huge servers, vehicles, Halo and GoldenEye brought it to the console, boom, a genre blew up, and we feel that MOBA is at the exact same place today. And so we're building our game, we're doing some things completely differently, and we're having a ton of fun doing it.
So tell us about those completely different things.
The completely different things, totally. So Dawngate does some things really differently. The first thing that we do is we've introduced something called the role system, and I think as the MOBA genre evolves, we're probably going to see a lot more of this design approach. I think it's a natural evolution. Dawngate's the first game doing it, though. And what it does is when you play Dawngate, you pick the character you want to play, then you pick your role. And what that does is it allows you to play that character the way you want to play it and still contribute meaningfully to your team. Something that other MOBAs, like League of Legends, awesome game, has a little more rigidity in its metagame, which is cool. That's how League plays. We thought that's a cool design opportunity. Probably a hard challenge, but let's go try to figure that out. And it's working in our beta at this point now. The players are really digging it. You can pick this guy. If you auto-lock as, say, the hunter role, which is kind of our jungler, I wanted to play him in the jungle, that's okay. I can take him in lane instead. Creates a lot of new strategies, a lot of flexibility.
What's the current status? You said beta. Is it closed or open beta?
Yeah. I mean, truth be told, we basically made up a word. We're like, it's in community beta. We were running in closed beta for about a year, and we realized, okay, we need some more people in here, but it's not feature complete yet.
Sure.
And so I didn't want to basically lie and say that the game was open beta and use that as kind of a marketing beat. So we said, hey guys, it's community beta. You don't need keys anymore. But we wanted to signal to the players there are big changes still happening in this game at the new feature level or at the tuning level. So it's community beta.
So how do you access it?
You go to Dawngate.com, download it right now, jump right in the game. But just be aware, you're in an open development environment. Sure. The game's going to be changing a lot.
So what sort of feedback have you been getting from the community?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, we put the game into closed beta really early because we realized you can't build this kind of game with like 30 guys in a studio, right? You need tens of thousands of people pounding on it. As soon as we soft launched the game, those and more showed up. The feedback's been really positive on the whole. It's been critical too, right? People want us to push it differently, from the other games that are in the genre now. And also sometimes when we go too far away from kind of MOBA conventions, they're like, that's too weird, bring it back. But on the whole, feedback's very positive. We've got professional players coming in from other games, pounding on it, giving us cool feedback. We've got a competitive community that's actually forming already. Blows us away. It's super humbling. They're putting up their own cash prizes, running their own tournaments. Yeah, it's because games, man. It's freaking awesome. So it's hard work, but we love it. We take the criticism.
Are you getting feedback on a daily basis from your players?
Hourly. Yeah. No, dude. When the game leaked originally, this guy Venor, Israeli guy, just instantly set up a subreddit. We were like, oh god, here we go. It's super active, so if you're in the Dawngate community, go check out, r/Dawngate. And people are posting all the time. I mean, literally on an hourly basis, everything from the lore that we're doing, which is a big deal for our game. Another thing that's pretty different about Dawngate, to tuning changes, to this shaper's OP, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Do you think that's the future of game development? I was talking to the Project Cars guys the other day, and they were kind of doing a similar thing. They had a Kickstarter, and then their backers have had access to the game all throughout the development, and they're taking their feedback on a daily, hourly basis. Yeah. Is that a better way of developing games rather than just like we're holding ourselves up in our studio for 2 years, and then when it's done, we'll show it to you.
Here it is.
Yep.
We hope you like it.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, I think it's a really insightful question, and yeah, I think that is not just the future of game dev. For us at Waystone, it's the present. I honestly, and this is no BS, I don't know how you would make this kind of game with a really close bond with your player base. There's especially MOBA, it's such a complicated genre. I mean, you're tuning the champs, you're tuning the mode, you're tuning the meta.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. You need tens of thousands of people just pounding on this thing. You know, I guess you could go away in your cave and then bring it back out and be like, delight, players. I don't buy it though.
Yeah, it's just such a different type of game than like a single player story,
Sure.
where you play through the story, it's told to you, and then it's done.
You got it.
Yeah, where a MOBA is a living thing that people just play forever.
It is, and you know, the competitive space in a MOBA, you know, I've worked on MMOs, I've worked on single player games. The competitive space in a MOBA exists between you and I, right? It's kind of defined by our mastery and our ability to demonstrate, you know, our control over the mechanics and also our understanding of the strategies involved. To assume that you know what's best for, you know, thousands, ideally millions of players, that's just BS. Like, that's not going to work. You know, you got to be in there with the players. And this is key to, I think, you know, the way we built Waystone. We've been able to build the studio. Gamescom. We've been able to build the studio to make this game.
Those are your fellow MOBA fans,
right? Yeah, right. You know, so you got to be hardcore. You got to be a native. Everybody on the team plays MOBAs. We love all of these games. We respect the people who make them. A lot of them are friends. You know, but you got to be inside of it. You got to keep coming at it from the player's point of view by being a player of it yourself.
And so you said players are already setting up their own tournaments.
Yeah.
What's the team's hopes for a competitive, you know, play?
You know, this is, to me, a really interesting question because, you know, I'm an esports fanatic. I love esports. You know, I've got a 5-year-old daughter. I'm turning her into esports fanatic. We've designed Dawngate to be able to become an esport. But I frame it up that way because I don't believe you can just, like, throw a sack of money on the table and be like, boom, here's your new esport.
Fight for this money.
Yeah, you know, I mean, people will do it. People will show up and because everybody likes money, you know, but what are games? Games are like organized play. Right? And
organized what?
Organized play.
Yeah.
Right? That's what a game is. Yeah. And a sport's kind of like the highest elevation of that. It's you going, I want to become excellent at this. And when a lot of other people share that feeling, that's when something becomes a sport. So we've, you know, from the beginning, we brought professional MOBA players in, said, play our game, tell us where it's great, tell us where it sucks. But we always knew it's going to be up to the players. So since we're seeing this happen, we're starting to support that side of Dawngate.
Yeah.
There's an emerging competitive scene. They said, we need a spectator mode. We're actually in the middle of developing a big spectator mode, and we said, what if we just gave you guys this? Would this be good for esports? And they're like, yes, give it to us. So that's actually going to be coming out in a few weeks.
I see.
You know, so wherever the players want to take the competitive scene, Waystone and EA will support it. But we're not trying to rush. We're not trying to force it. If they want Dawngate to be that, we'll make it that.
You mentioned the lore.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the lore in Dawngate?
Yeah, totally. This is a big deal. I'm a nerd. A lot of people always are total nerds, right?
I think all of us here, I think you're in good company.
We are.
Safe place.
Our people. I'm going to come out now.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. Yeah. You know, I'm an English lit major with a creative writing emphasis. So is my partner in crime, our game director, Hunter Howe. We love stories. We're old school RPG players. We're old school Dungeons and Dragons players, right? You know, we're like, how do we bring story back into this genre? Because it was kind of left behind. Like, the genre emerged from RTS, Warcraft 3, right? Where Blizzard was kind of at the height of using their RTS to start telling stories, right? So here's this weird irony in the genre where the hero unit that Blizzard was using to tell the stories turned into this competitive gameplay. So we're like, okay, it's a competitive game. How can we bring story in without screwing up the competitive game? And so we said, well, if we're right about this, there are probably going to be a lot of people who are into this too. And so we asked thousands of MOBA players, what other games are you playing? Because we didn't want to say, do you like story, right? That's meaningless. And what we found was almost 70% of them, I'm sorry to be like a numbers geek, there's a huge number, like over 2/3 of these people, me, you, are playing Skyrim, they're playing Diablo. Sure. Of course, right? This is a no-brainer. So we said, cool, let's do this. So what we did was we created something called the Dawngate Chronicles, which you can check out now. It's been running live for a couple months, Dawngate-Chronicles.com. Beautiful webcomic written by a guy named Chris Latois, who goes way back in online gaming, wrote for Asheron's Call, worked at BioWare, wrote for Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, illustrated by a guy named Nick Cole, a lot of work for Disney, some brilliant projects of his own. Gorgeous art. And it drops 3 times a week, so it's a very active webcomic, and it brings to life the characters that you play. But we said we didn't just want to have a story kind of sitting next to the game, so we made it interactive. So what happens is, every now and again, every maybe 3 weeks or so, we open up a vote in the Chronicles, and you'll log into Dawngate and you'll see, do you want this or this in the story? And you choose what you want to have happen, and then every game you play, and every game he plays, and every game she plays, casts a vote for what you want to have happen in the story. When the vote closes, the community is chosen, and essentially the story becomes a massive choose-your-own-adventure, or like a D&D campaign that Waystone is kind of DMing, but the community is driving.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of goes back to that community development help. It almost seems like this group of people is having you make the game for them, rather than developers we're making the game that we want, and then we hope people like it.
You got it, and we knew this was going to be hard. There's no one doing anything like this. At its core, Dawngate has intense MOBA gameplay, but the vision of Dawngate is it's this incredible world that's totally thought out. We didn't just want to create a platform that was like, here's your vampire, here's your robot. That's totally cool, that's tons of fun. We said, if we're going to contribute, how can we bring story in meaningfully? And so not only do the players direct where this story is going to go, and our pact with them is, if you choose there, that other path is dead forever. We're not going to write that. We then go, what do you guys find over here on your adventures through the story? And we then say, oh, you found a new playable character. That then goes back into the game. Oh, you saw a character that's already in the game in, her traveling garb or in her badass night outfit. Cool, that's going to become a skin that then goes into the game. So we're playing around. We're basically beta testing a massive interactive story. At the same time, we're beta testing a MOBA.
Is there anything we need to know about the gameplay footage that we're seeing here, the interface that you've built?
Sure. Actually, we're doing a lot of revs internally on the interface. What you're seeing has actually been here for over a year. The literal user interface does a lot of things very well for us, but it also does a few things that are just unnecessary. So we're going to see this interface change a lot in the coming months. What we're looking at in terms of gameplay, they're just passing what's called the Parasite. That's an evolving objective in the middle of the map. So if you're a League of Legends player, it'd be kind of like, in the early game, it's kind of like a dragon. Toward the end of the game, it's kind of like a Baron, right? So it scales over the course of the match with you. Provides a lot of different challenges and strategies. If you look down at the mini-map, you'll notice, oh, it looks like a MOBA. But hey, wait a second, there are only 2 lanes. Seems like there's a lot of jungle. And what are those circles in the corner? Dawngate's a totally different MOBA, and no joke, we literally designed probably a dozen different MOBAs, maybe 100 different variations on maps across all of those modes to find this thing that we call the Dawngate, and then we put that into beta, and that's been changing as well. It just plays completely differently. Those circles on the 4 corners, those are called spirit wells. To nod back to the RTS roots of the genre, it's basically like having your base mechanic in StarCraft 2. Sure. It's the economy. We wanted to put the economy on the map. It's one of the most important things in a MOBA, but it's invisible to a lot of new players. But it's critical for strategy, right? It also allows us to do some really cool hardcore mechanics like economy denial, right? So you've got creep denial in games like Dota 2. Really cool, really high-level gameplay. Again, invisible to new players. So we said, let's put these spirit wells on the map. Let new players very easily see, cool, that's his economy. I'm going to go attack it. I'm going to go kill all those workers, reduce his ability for his team to generate gold, and over the course of the map, those things unlock, become capturable objectives. And then there's the base fight, which the gameplay on the screen isn't showing right now. Like I said earlier, we're a bunch of MMO nerds, so we're like, how can we get like a raid boss into this game? And so I don't know if it's going to come up in the B-roll that we're showing here, but basically the base fights back in Dawngate. It's this huge guardian. He's got all these AI-controlled abilities. There's a ton of different strategy as to how you're going to go in and take him down. But what the AI is doing is it's basically going, okay, I've got a 5-man group over here. Cool. I'm going to split them up with a big ring of fire, shoot a laser at him, because it's trying to drive you into more PvP. Because even though you've got all this cool objective-based gameplay, we believe that at its root, a MOBA is all about, like I said, the space between you and me, and my ability to break your face faster than you can break mine.
Please don't break my face. Are you good at Dawngate?
I'm pretty good at Dawngate.
Pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, I play, probably 2-3 games a day.
Yeah.
We've got, to use vernacular from other games, we have, challenger level people on our staff. I'm like in the gold tier or so, I don't pretend to be one of the best, but I love the game. I play it fairly competitively, but most people will be like, great, Dave's in the game, time to feed.
What's your strategy?
My strat in the game, I generally roll tactician, and this goes into our unique role system that I was talking about at the beginning of our discussion. So I'm not as good at mechanics like last hitting, and I also don't find them very entertaining. A lot of people do, though. For a lot of people, that's what makes a MOBA. For me, I'm just like, I want to get in there, I want to zone, I want to harass. I like skill shot-oriented shapers a lot. So what Tactician lets me do is basically support my carry in the lane. I passively gain income off of minions dying in the lane, But anytime I hit you with an ability, I basically proc a little more income. So I'm rewarded for that style of kind of aggressive, harass gameplay.
What do you hear from the community? What seems to be the thing that they like the most? Like, what do they like about Dawngate?
You know, it goes back and forth depending on where the focus of development is, but it goes between the overall design of just a new MOBA that's really built from the ground up to create something different, so the gameplay, and then when we're hitting a big lore beat in the beta, like the subreddit just gets taken over by the lore. I mean, before we turn the lore on, we would drop a new shaper into the game. That would be the entire subreddit for like 2 or 3 days. It's all they were talking about. This guy's OP, he's broken, he's a noob, whatever it is. Yeah. When we drop lore, you'll see like half of the subreddit immediately start talking about story, character. Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? So, I want to have my cake and eat it too, and say that they love the gameplay and they really dig what we're doing with story and characters.
What's the future look like? Like, you have a timeline for the full launch of the game?
I mean, what does launch mean in an online game? Like I said, we made up a word. We said we're in community beta because we're trying to let competitive and casual players know this game is in very active development. You can go play it now. That said, I think that we'll probably, sometime in the next calendar year, we'll see Dawngate in a really feature-complete state, or at least complete enough to say, boom, we're really going to turn it on and put the spotlight on the game. And in the meantime, every day, just hanging out with the players, playing the game with them, building what they want. As an example, we've got a casting mode coming that I talked about really in the next couple of weeks. That's going to enable esports. We'll see what the players do. Maybe we'll develop more of that. Maybe that'll be enough for them. And that kind of dictates where we take development.
Is your plan to make it free to play?
The game's free to play. It's always going to be free to play. And importantly, it's never going to be pay to win. That's a question we get a lot. That would break the game. So it's never going to be pay to win.
To wrap us up here, what would you say is your favorite feature that you've implemented into Dawngate?
Without a doubt, it's the living lore.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a story nerd, and I can't believe we're pulling it off. Honestly, like, I pinch myself. I look at my partners on the project, and I'm like, we've convinced Electronic Arts to give us this money to like do these crazy things, and EA is just like, have fun. Like, it's a business at the end of the day, but they love what we're doing, and so we're not looking back. We're just running straight ahead. Things are working, and I think it's all because we're just with our players so tightly. So.
Well, this type of development seems very exciting.
Cheers, man.
Seems very cool. So good luck with everything. Dawngate.
Thanks, man.
Stay tuned. We have lots more to come here on IGN Live from Gamescom, presented by Dead Island 2, right after these messages.